The views and opinions on this show do not necessarily reflect the views of ESPN Tucson 1490 AM, 94.9 HD Channel 4, or the Arizona Lotus Corporation.
Spears and Ali, weekday morning 7 to 9 on 1490 AM, 94.9 HD4 ESPN Tucson.
Not in time. They pulled off the shot. We're going to overtime. And Mr. Backer, you're quite prophetic.
Father's Day episode of Spears and Ali Overtime coming your way on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. We are presented by Tucson Federal Credit Union, the Volpe team at Nova Home Loans, and Right Way Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing. Happy Father's Day to you, Ali.
Thank you, man. Still waiting for the text or call from my kids about, hey, Dad, what are we doing for what you want to go out for Father's Day? But I'm not going to say anything. And then if all I get is a text in the morning Sunday, what do you guys think? What's the move? Just thanks or not even respond? How passive aggressive should I be is the question I'm asking.
Let us know in the comments.
Day. I feel like you can be as passive aggressive as you want.
It's
your Father's Day. It's your day.
It's
Don't
your
you
day.
think I think I'm like on the
Spectrum?
higher end of dads. No, the spectrum is also a spectrum. But, you know, I think I'm like an okay dad. You know, my kids don't want for anything. And I tried to instill good values in them from a father perspective. It's Thursday. It's Friday. Father's Day's Sunday.
Yeah.
If I don't get any kind of communication by tomorrow at noon, do I even say anything or I just wait for it?
I would just wait for it.
You should. By the way, all of you watching this, be nice to your dad. All right. We're not, sometimes we get grouchy and all that, but if you have Father's Day, you should talk to your dad about, hey, let's do something for Father's Day. And don't ask your dad what he wants to do.
Yeah.
Right. Tell him, hey, Dad, we're going to take you out to eat. This is where we're going. Because all a father wants to do, especially someone like me, you know what the greatest gift you can give me, fellas?
What?
Just fucking take care of it and don't make me make a decision. Because you know what? I do that every single day.
But what if they give you options? What do they say?
Cool.
We got these three choices. Boom. Pick one.
I'll make
Let's
a
go.
choice. I'll make it. That's fine. That's
Okay.
fine. But
You don't
Dad,
wanna- you don't
what do
wanna
you want to
plan it.
do for Father's Day? That's your job, son, daughter. That's your job. I don't. You know what I do every other day
Make
of the
decisions.
year? Is I tell you what we should do and give you options. Why don't you just take it out of my bucket of responsibility? Can you do that for one day? One day.
You're not even asking it for your birthday. You're just like for Father's Day.
Well, your birthday too.
Okay, so 2 days.
2 days.
Yeah.
2 days. Like there's 2 days out of the year.
I got the other 363.
I got the rest.
Yeah.
You know what? Guess what? Even on those 2 days, I'm okay. I'll pay. I'm cool with that, right? Just make a decision. If you want to give a couple of options, fine. But you know what making a decision comes with? Make a fucking reservation.
Yeah.
Do the work. God, is this mind-blowing? And yet I should probably text my dad.
I was gonna say, with that being said, he's like, "Oh wait, I gotta practice what I preach."
I haven't talked to Maurice Farhang yet.
No, we'll go to my parents' house for dinner Sunday. There'll be Sunday dinner, Father's Day. And I don't know. I'll grab him what are you doing?
His camera just made like a thumbs up.
Thumbs
I don't
up.
know. I don't know if it recorded on StreamYard, but I saw
It did.
Oh,
Did it?
cool.
Okay.
Huh.
Oh, we got fireworks.
Wow, Justin's computer's all interactive.
That's so cool.
There's no way that it's registering that as a heart. Sorry for all the listeners who can't see this.
Look
Oh my
at
god,
that.
it worked.
You know what,
Does
man?
mine do that? We have the same computer.
Another added benefit
Nah, I'm not
to
special.
this show is something you learn along the way. You get better. You're getting better, you're getting worse, right? There's no such thing as staying the same. You can now make gestures to any kind of point or statement you're making, and it'll light it up.
Yeah, apparently.
That's awesome, man.
That is awesome.
Huh.
Found a cool new feature. All right.
Wow. Keep it clean. I don't want to see the middle finger emoji.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Fireworks behind it.
to all you fathers out there, happy Father's Day.
Yeah.
Love my dad. I have a great dad. He's beloved in this town. He's done a lot of great things. I emulate a lot of things from him. You know, being a dad's not easy, right? Because, you know, sometimes the dad's got to be the disciplinarian. I know there's a lot of moms out there that are disciplinarian, but you know, being the bad guy is not always cool.
Yeah.
But you gotta do it, right? And just because I'm telling you something, right? And I do this to you guys all the time. Just because I'm telling you a truth, right? We did it this morning. Not trying to be an asshole. It's because I love you. But you know, my dad used to say this to me when I was younger, and I thought it was the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. At 12. Now I think it's the smartest thing. This hurts me more than it hurts you, right? To have to reprimand you or talk to you in this way. And as you get older and you have kids, you start just understanding both your mother and your father. It's like, man, I was a little dick and I had no idea what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Right. And then you start going through it with your own kids. There is you start understanding. It's like you have this tunnel vision when you're younger, and then you have your own kids. And as far as understanding where your parents were coming from and what they did to raise you and how much effort they put into making sure that you had a good life, that tunnel vision expands, and it's a world that you've never seen before.
Yeah. Well, like growing up as a kid, right? You're just like automatically you're like, oh, my parents have everything figured out. Right. Obviously, they're my parents. They know everything.
Right. And
so when they do say, like, you're like, well, how could this person be fallible? Right. Or something. When you're like really little, like, how could they make such a mistake? They're my parents. Yeah. And then you have, I totally get it.
Well, that's a great point. There's that too, right?
Yeah.
But there's I think there's kind of a double, there's a dichotomy to this. You know, you see that and you're like, well, oh, they're human too.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But then you also, the things that they said to you, and then the things that you might have thought were unfair when you were younger, or you didn't understand why they made certain decisions or did certain things that you didn't agree with. Right. I'll give you an example in a second. Then you have your own kids and you're like, you know, yes, there's a fallibility, right? But there's also like, God, my parents were geniuses. Mm-hmm. They were so right. And all those, and then you find yourself saying the same things that they said to you that you thought was just absolutely stupid.
Yeah.
And you're like, you know what? That's not stupid. It's genius. But, you know, like I was, one of my jobs. So my dad had this thing. I'll give one Mo story about a dad. And then I want to hear top 5 Friday. I want to hear about Jerry Spears.
Oh yeah.
So my dad had a rule. If I don't find a job in the summer, he's going to find one for me. And I didn't have a lot of time. It's like you have like 3 days, right?
Damn.
Yeah. So I've worked at U-Haul.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked at Carl's Jr. And then one year, and this is the job I think I did get on my own, I sold knives door to door for Cutco.
Oh, you're one of those guys.
Oh, yeah.
Heading to the top of the pyramid, baby.
Yeah. 16 years old. My pink tie. Talking about the polyurethane handles, and there's no bacteria like wooden handles. And every time you use the knife, it sharpens itself, and the scissors that come apart, and you can put them in the dishwasher, and then cutting the penny, which is a federal crime, by the way. I did all that. And so I, mostly thanks to my parents, set a record for the month of July of selling knives.
Nice.
Right? Wow. And I was invited to the National Cutco Convention.
CutCon?
CutCon. In Lubbock, Texas.
Of course it's in Lubbock.
Future Big 12 site, Lubbock, Texas.
Understand this. I am 16 years old. And in my mind, oh my God, I'm going to go to Lubbock, Texas. And I might get together with some older lady. This is going to be great. That's what I'm thinking. And I am begging my parents, especially my dad. I'm like, let me go to Lubbock, Texas and go to the Cutco convention. Because what happens in Lubbock stays in Lubbock, Dad. I didn't say that, right?
That's what they say.
Yeah. And I'm going to get lucky.
Lucky in Lubbock.
And my dad is just, he can see it rolling around in his head, and he just looks at me and goes, Ali, you are not going to Lubbock, Texas, to the Cutco convention. And I was so upset. And now I think back and I'm like, yeah, that was the right call.
I remember I almost worked for, I don't remember if it was Cutco, but it was one of those, like those knife door-to-door salesman things. And I got the email. I was like, oh, this is cool. I could make some money. I think I was also like 16.
Yeah.
And the interview place was like right around the corner from me. I was like, oh shit. Okay. Yeah, cool. Like, did my thing. And I was like, all right, I'm going to show up to the interview. And I showed up and it was like this old derelict brick building. And there were no cars in the parking lot besides me. And I was like, I'm going to go home.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, I'm not getting stabbed or robbed today. And I just went home.
Dude, my orientation for Cutco was the Tucson region manager's house next to Fort Will Park.
Nice.
And my mom's like, I'll stay outside. I'm like, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah. I actually had a friend work for Cutco. They were, they grew up right around the corner from us. And my dad was like, you know what? Sure. Come over, make us your pitch. We're not going to buy any knives, but we'll entertain you. I don't know if he got like commission or he got like some reward for going to a house.
You got some credit for like going to so many verified appointments because, the batting average, like I went to one house and it was a friend of the family and she bought like $1,500 worth of knives from me. And I was like right there signing the receipt. The husband walks in. He goes, what's going on? It's like, oh, honey, I've just bought some knives from Ali. He's like, oh yeah, how much? And she's like, $1,500. He's like, no, you can have one knife. And I'm like, man, I would have set the record for August too. Thanks a lot, Dr. Ajami. Yeah. But yeah, that was really funny. So I got a couple of funny Mo stories.
That's hilarious.
But I cede the floor to you, Justin. A guy I wish I knew. So give us a couple good Jerry stories.
Okay. Well, kind of along the lines of Cutco, my dad was like, all right, you can come in, you can sell us your knives, but we're not gonna buy it. We're here to entertain it here. So you can have something on file. And our friend was giving us the whole spiel, cut the penny. And he was like, we also have this new ice cream scooper. And
the ice cream scooper is great.
It really it does a great job of like melting the ice cream. So it could be like
shit out of that
rock
stuff.
hard. And it's a great scooper. And it was in the middle of summertime. And he's like, look at this. Look at the ice cube and the way it melts. And my dad was like, my man, you just pulled that out of the trunk of your car. Like it's hot metal. Of course it's going to melt the ice cube that quick. So yeah, I'm very familiar with Cutco.
Oh, he was a player hater, Jerry.
Oh, my dad was like, okay, we're not doing this. You're not trying to sell me this.
You got to be able to smell bullshit.
Hey, but by the way, before you move on, and
sure,
I will say for any of you Cutco representatives listening out there, my mom and all the people I sold to still got their knives. It's a fine quality product.
Sure.
So it wasn't. I wasn't selling a bill of goods there. Cutco was good.
Mm-hmm.
It's good stuff. All right, go ahead.
So yeah, my father, he passed away 5 years ago. I can't believe it's been a little over 5 years since I've lost my dad. But man, I could not have asked for a better dad. And he was at times an asshole, but that man loved me and my brother and my mom relentlessly, and he sacrificed so much. Sometimes he would throw it in our faces whenever we would act like little assholes, right? Like I wake up at 3:30 every morning and I work 6 days a week, 10-hour days, and you're over here acting like this, and like would make us feel bad about it. And I never realized like how much my dad worked until I became an adult. And I'm like, man, I could not imagine waking up at 3:30. I mean, we wake up early now, but like 3:30 in the morning to wake up, open up the shop. He worked on Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. He wasn't in the military, but he worked for the Boneyard, worked over at AMARG, and spent a lot of time working on planes, working at the Boneyard. And, that was his job. And the reason why we came out to Tucson, Arizona was because in 1997, which is a good year for Tucson, the Long Beach Naval Shipyard closed down, and that's where he worked. And so his options were you can either go work at the Boneyard at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, or you can go work in South Dakota. Those were his two options.
Was it close? Okay.
And us being from Southern California, it was like, okay, go out into South Dakota, the middle of the country where there's like no civilization whatsoever.
No mountains.
Or we could be 8 hours away from our hometown, Huntington Beach, California. We could be connected to all of our family members. We're one state away. It's easy to get to California. So Tucson, Arizona, and plus the weather too. It's great. And my dad locked up the house in Rita Ranch, and he told my brother that we're moving to Rita Ranch, and my brother was like, "We're gonna live on a ranch? We're gonna? Oh my gosh!" I'm like, we're a beach family. We're from LA, and now we're about to go live on the ranch. And then
You were the subject of every Disney Channel original movie ever.
or almost like
What the
that
hell, Dad?
or like that TV show with Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie. I forgot
Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie.
Yeah, where they went on like a farm and they were like living the farm life as like these
I know what he's
rich girls from
The Simple
the
Life.
Simple Life.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then they went on a farm or whatever it was, a reality show. But
Weird.
yeah, we moved out to Tucson, Arizona in 1997, and my dad has he's been the leader of our house. Him and my mom met at the height of Showtime Lakers in LA. And it's funny, they actually met at a club. My mom was working at a Marriott in Anaheim or Huntington Beach, one of the two. And they decided to, during like a Christmas party or around Christmas time, they're like, let's all go to this bar down the street. And so they go to this bar, and that's where she met my dad. And she thought my dad was like the nicest guy ever. She loved him. She adored him. And then my dad got into like a fight with somebody.
Seriously?
Yeah, he got into like a tussle with somebody out in the parking lot or whatever. And
Your dad was, let's take this outside guy?
Yeah. Or I think they were already outside
Okay.
and things.
Let's take this right here.
Yeah. You want to take this over there?
Yeah.
Like 4 feet that way? And my mom saw that and was like, wow, I thought he was like a nice guy. That I didn't expect to see that. So my mom just they had phone numbers. They exchanged phone numbers, but my mom was not happy with seeing my dad get all macho and tough like that. And so they actually went a little bit without talking to each other. And then my mom was having car problems, and she's fresh off the boat from Germany. So like, she doesn't really know anybody. I mean, she's, working at Marriott, going to school, doing the whole thing. And so she needed somebody to fix her car, and she thought of my dad. And so she hit up Jerry Spears.
Crazy.
Gerald Spears. That's where Jerry comes from. And Jerry with a G. That's how it's spelled. Gerry. And she hit up my dad. My dad helped out with the car, and the rest is history. And my dad would go through, or him and my mom, they were like best friends more than anything. They would go shopping together. They would go do like fun activities. And then it was a relationship that evolved. And then they were like, hey, it's 1987. You want to get married? Let's do it. They got married. And like I said, it's at the height of Showtime Lakers. And that's where my Laker fandom comes from, because, my dad loved Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. My mom loves Magic Johnson. So Magic, Kareem, James Worthy, those are some very important figures in my family. And then they eventually had my older brother in 1989. They got a house in Cerritos, California. My dad was working at the Long Beach Naval Shipyard. And then in 1995, I came along. But there's an important period between my brother's birth and my birth. So in between that, between my brother and me, my dad was actually using drugs. And since he worked these long shifts at the naval shipyard, he always needed to stay up. And so he found a substance that could freaking keep him up for days on end. Like, he didn't get sleep. And eventually, like, my mom started to notice signs of his behavior changing a little bit. And then one day she came home early from work, and she like saw the stuff and saw my dad not in a good state. And that's when she realized, like, okay, this is a problem. And if I can't allow this to happen. So my mom essentially was like, you either get clean and put us first and put yourself and make this right, or I'm going to take Josh and I'm going to go back to Germany, essentially. Like you will never see your kid ever again. And so from that point forward, on June 9th, 1993, my dad made the sacrifice, became a part of Narcotics Anonymous, which is a 12-step program. And from that point forward, my dad never touched alcohol, never touched another drug. And then 2 years later, I came along, and the rest is history. My dad was a family man, always worked so hard. And then we moved to Tucson, Arizona. He worked at Davis Monthan Air Force Base, like I said. And it was always so fascinating to me observing my dad growing up, because I saw how hard he worked, but it was always interesting how much time he had for us. And he would take my brother and I shopping. He called it the fever. He's like, I got the fever today. And I was like, Justin's getting new shoes. Let's go, baby. And he would take us to the Nike outlet in Foothills Mall. We would go shopping. And my dad made sure
From Rita Ranch.
we go out to the Foothills Mall and
Yeah,
shop.
wow.
And my dad made sure.
God, that's a high fever.
Holy
Hey,
shit.
if you're getting Nike shoes, you're getting, you already have the Nike socks, I'm going to get you a shirt to match with it, and you can't cross brand. So
No cross brand.
you brought up cross branding on the show today, and it took me back to my dad, because my dad was like, you're never going to wear multiple brands.
So
Like,
you're like LL Cool J. You had the Fila underwear and the Fila hat. Then you went downstairs. You kicked the Fila cat.
dude,
Sorry.
everything was always the same. And my dad would pay attention to trends, would pay attention to fashion. And he also paid attention to, things that were happening in pop culture and things that I was interested in. Since my brother and I love sports so much, he got us, a gaming console, and then got us Madden, and would always get the Madden when the first day it came out.
Of course.
And
As every good father should.
it's amazing.
Yep.
And he never missed a day.
Yeah.
Never missed a day. And there was one time,
And you know what I'm talking about, Xavier. Okay, go ahead.
and there was one time in middle school, we switched consoles. We went from the PS2 to the PS3. And I was wondering, I'm like, I want to know if my dad's going to give me the PS2 version or the PS3 version. And sure enough, he got me a PS3 version. Didn't skip a beat. And my brother made an interesting point, because I brought that up recently, and he was like, well, yeah, it's easy for him to remember it's PS3 because he bought the damn thing. And I was like, you know what? That's a very good point.
Yeah.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, it was like, it was $300.
Yeah. I remember, because I was at Best Buy buying it for you. So, but you know what? I had such a great childhood. People could listen to my dad talk about, or me talk about my dad taking us shopping, buying us video games. And, on the surface, you could say like, oh, well, Justin grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth. And don't get me wrong, we were very well taken care of. My dad made sure we had everything we needed, but he also instilled hard work into us. And observing him, I could see the hard work, but we also had chores that we had to do. We had to clean up around the house every single day, essentially. Go pick up the dog shit. Go clean the pool. Go check the pool basket. Mow the lawn every Saturday.
You had a lawn?
Yeah, we had like an actual big lawn in the backyard, and
You lived on a ranch.
we lived on a
That's right.
ranch.
I forgot.
But it's a corner house, so it's got a
Oh,
big yard,
yeah, okay.
right? And we put in grass, and when we put in the grass, it was from Home Depot, and it was a big kind of trend because the D-backs had it in their stadium. It's called Bob Sod, Bank One Ballpark Sod, and we got all the Bob Sod. We put it out there, and my dad manicured that grass. He winterized it every single year, would fertilize it, and then when summertime came around, we had the sprinkler system going. That grass was like freaking Dodger Stadium. It was gorgeous. And whenever we would mow the lawn, we would do it twice. We'd go a long ways and then this way. So we crosshatch or whatever, and it would look like an actual outfield in a baseball field, in it like a Major League Baseball ballpark. Wow. And I had to learn how to mow the lawn when I was in the 5th grade or something like that. And then eventually when my brother got older and moved out, I was responsible for the lawn. So every single Saturday I had to mow the lawn. And during monsoon season, sometimes I'd have to cut the lawn twice a week because the grass would just grow back instantly and get so thick. You had to stay on top of it. Plus we didn't want all the flies around too. So I had to mow the lawn a lot. I had to do a bunch of yard work. Every Sunday, we would clean cars. We would take the cars down to the self-serve car wash. We do all that. We wash it, clean it, and then we have some Sunday dinner. And that was pretty much our thing, man. We worked very hard growing up, and I didn't have an allowance, but if I needed, lunch money or something like that, my dad took care of me.
Yeah.
So
Also, he took care of the rent. So yeah, there's your allowance, buddy.
yeah, put a roof over your
It's
head.
funny, like he talks about the lawn and all that. And, I give you guys I've got all these coaching cliches about work hard and who high achievers hate? Mediocre people. Do you know who mediocre people hate? High achievers. And I remember the one summer my dad's like, you guys are responsible for the yard. And I'm like, that what? And it was like, I could not have been more of a petulant, spoiled, just dipshit of a kid. And I was like, this is the worst summer ever. I have to spend an hour a week cleaning up the yard and mowing the lawn. Dads, man, they know what they're doing. How long did your mom live in the United States before she met your dad?
I think a couple years.
So I think life is incredible. I think the universe is incredible.
Right.
So your mom lived in the United States, worked at a Marriott, and went to school for a couple years before she met your dad.
Yep.
And in that time, I've met Valerie Spears. She's a very pleasant, handsome woman. I'm assuming she got to know people. She wasn't isolated and living on, just her own bubble of herself. Right. And yet when her car breaks down, the person she calls is the guy she met who thought he was really nice, but then saw him get in fisticuffs outside in a parking lot of a bar. And if that doesn't happen, there's no Josh Spears and there's no Justin Spears. Right. And then she does call him and there is a Josh Spears. And if his dad doesn't clean up his act, there's no Justin Spears.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking my dad was 25. He came to this country at 16 when his brother was going to UVA, went back. And after a, 2-week courtship, married my mom. Right. I mean, he married her and then they started dating. So my mom was 18. She moved to the United States.
That's how it happened?
Dude, it's
holy
wow.
Shit. God damn.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. It's different, but
it's set up, right?
Yeah.
Families of certain statures, they set you up. If that doesn't happen, there's no me.
Yeah.
Right. Or if my dad, who's in the restaurant bar business, doesn't meet the love of his life. I mean, when you work as a bartender, buddy, you're the most handsome, funniest person in that bar. And ladies love you. My dad's got a great personality. If he falls in love with some American girl or somebody, there's no me. So to think that all the little things that have to happen for Spears and Ali, or just for me to be here, is absolutely insane.
The butterfly effect.
Same with my parents too.
You really?
Yeah, my parents met at the airport. My dad was about to fly internationally to Australia for a 3-week trip. Him and his best friend George, my uncle, not really my uncle, but my uncle.
Yeah.
Were flying to Australia. They were going to spend 3 weeks, I think, 3 weeks a month.
Does George tell everybody about the rabbits?
Yes.
Hug him and squeeze him and love him and hold him. I have my very own, and I'm going to call him George.
Call him George. Yeah, but they were flying to Australia, and I don't remember if it was they've told me the story, but I don't remember if it was the same terminal or whatever that they were in, but they got to talking, and my mom was flying to LA or somewhere for a Phil Collins concert.
Wow.
And my dad loves Phil Collins. And he was like, hey, if I give you $20 and my phone number, will you buy me a shirt? And when we're both back in town, we'll meet up and you can give me the shirt and everything, whatever. And she was like, yeah. And so gave her the money, gave her his number. And as they're getting on the plane, my Uncle George is like, dude, you're never going to see that girl again. You just lost $20, And when they both came back, he hit her up, or she hit him up, I guess, gave him the shirt. And now I'm here.
That's
wow.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And I wonder if
he gave her the $20 because he could feel it in the air tonight. Or that night he did.
Yeah.
I don't think that's yeah.
I just would love to be your dad walking into his brother's house with the Phil Collins shirt and saying, fuck you, George.
Told you.
And not only that, I got her number. How do you like them apples?
Yeah. I just like the idea that the entire possibility of my conception comes down to a band T-shirt, something that you guys have made fun of me for forever.
It all makes sense now.
Yeah.
It's all come together. Doesn't mean you can't wear different colors. every
It
once in
does
a while.
not, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
am honoring my own conception.
Was the Phil Collins shirt black?
You know, I don't know. I
Find
do
out
not know.
because-
I'll
You
have to find out.
You gotta
yeah.
find. And does he still have it?
I doubt it, just because my parents are no longer together.
Right.
But
But he loves Phil Collins. Like, who
yeah,
cares? Yeah.
well, but
We're
my-
getting divorced,
Yeah.
and I burned the Phil Collins shirt.
well, the other part of it is my dad at that time would have been like a little like younger than me, I think, maybe same age, but he was like 190 pounds. And
Yeah.
now he's not 190 pounds.
Gotcha.
So
Man.
maybe even less. I think my dad was a small guy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, he's less than 190 pounds now.
When he wrestled in high school at 115, I believe.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Well,
He was
that's
not a
nice.
very big guy,
I don't know. I
but
would.
then he joined the military. So
So he got in really good shape.
Mhm.
Cool. So
Those little athletic guys, man, they're good for military.
yeah,
Crawl into tiny spaces. and
you
stuff.
know, I want at least one, no more than 2 funny stories about each of your dads. But I got a funny story for you,
I
Justin.
got a ration.
Oh yeah.
yeah. This is not Top 9 Tuesday, buddy.
Yeah. It's
Uh,
about to be.
so I don't know if you were in the studio on Wednesday, but I talked to Andrew, and he's going on his honeymoon, a belated honeymoon with his wife, Alexis, who works for me. And I'm like, man, I want to do something nice for you
Oh,
guys. I want
yeah.
to buy you dinner. And he's like, oh, thanks, man. So I told Alexis this yesterday, and I'm like, I want you to know I talked to Andrew about this. And she's like, oh, that's so nice of you. I'm like, I have conditions. She goes, what are the conditions?
Collar shirt.
He's got to wear a collared shirt.
Easy.
It can't be black.
Fuck.
And this is where his wife Alexis was like, you gave me the greatest gift possible. He's got to wear pants.
Oh man.
I wear pants.
Cool. And the pants can be and I said, Alexis, the pants for me can be black. I don't care. You get to decide. And she's like, oh my God, thank you so much. So it's going to be enough money for a really nice dinner, but the conditions got to be met.
Yeah.
And I'm going to trust like your dad trusted when he gave $20 to your mom for the Phil Collins shirt. And I want a picture. I want a picture.
I won't
like
let you down.
It was like a beach shirt, a Hawaiian collar shirt.
I mean, did you guys
That's
not see
full.
any of the pictures from my Bahamas trip? I didn't wear black.
Dude, I'm talking about like I want to give them enough money to go to a nice restaurant. So does it have to be, so just dress nice. One day, just dress
You
nice.
sound like my mom.
Not a Bahama shirt, not a Kiss shirt, right? Just I would appreciate a button down and
I actually don't
pants.
have a Kiss shirt. Now
and
that I
a-
think about it.
We both need Kiss shirts.
Yeah, we do.
How the
Uh,
hell do I have a Kiss shirt and you guys don't?
I don't know.
That is weird.
That's
we need
weird.
to rectify
And how was
that
that not in your bag of what you gave Andrew? Do you love that gift
Well,
shirt?
because I'm wearing the Kiss shirt. Now
Yeah.
I got it in the last year.
Oh,
Like,
gotcha.
I'm keeping that Kiss
Oh
shirt.
yeah.
So I think, yeah, yeah, it's. I thought you would enjoy that. Alexis was really excited.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
She was really excited.
Yeah. Pastels might be in the repertoire there.
Pastels.
Maybe not like pastel, but like something bright.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Something springy, even though it'll be autumn.
I
In-
would,
in
however
Germany.
you dress. I don't want anybody. I would like anybody who came by you to be like, oh, he's dressed nice. So that's
Heck yeah.
that's the line we're going
I
for.
clean up good. You guys
Yeah.
were at my wedding.
Yeah, but you had all black.
No, I wore a red shirt.
Yeah.
Suck it.
Well, speaking of dressing nice, that was also another thing that my dad, made sure that, he emphasized, growing up is, even if you wear comfortable clothing, just don't look too slobby, I guess.
Really?
Yeah. And I know I come here in studio, but when I'm going out elsewhere, right, at games, even though I'm wearing comfortable clothing, I still look presentable, right?
For the
I don't-
listeners on the podcast, Ali's face
my hair's
crunched up so bad.
I make sure my hair is like put together, like
You smell amazing with that Versace
Versace
perfume.
cologne.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But can I just one thing?
sure.
Just because you wear a collared shirt doesn't mean you can wear gym shorts. You got to wear.
Well, I mean,
for
there's
Zoom calls.
there are shorts nowadays that look like gym shorts, but they're like golf shorts.
Just
If
saying.
they look like gym shorts, though,
Yeah, like you got like
is the
macrame
difference?
shorts on right now, like those.
Yeah,
with the
these are
collar-
fuck. Oh, well, actually, we're not on there.
Yeah, you can say fuck.
I can say
It's
fuck.
okay. It
Okay.
was, but
Good reflexes, though.
you know what I actually was thinking, man?
Are you wearing macrame shorts?
The quality of your work is so good as a sports writer. If you could distinguish yourself from all of your, I'll call them colleagues, some of which don't work at the Arizona Daily Star,
Sure.
and be the best dressed sports beat writer in Tucson. And I'm telling you, the level of respect you would get and the attention you would get. And I think people would even more appreciate your work more. Like, don't be like bow tie straw hat guy. I'm not saying that. Right. But if you just like showed up and you like, even just, hey, that guy's always dressed up at our press conferences. He's always got pants on. He might have a tie on every once in a while. It matters.
Well, and it's funny that you bring that up. That's actually kind of how I got my role at the Arizona Daily Star, was because when I applied, Ryan Finley, the former sports editor, was looking over candidates and he saw my name and he was like, "Oh yeah, I remember Justin. We sat next together at the e-board meeting for like Camp Student Radio and the Arizona Daily Wildcat and stuff like that."
Oh, yeah.
Ryan was like the Arizona Daily Star representative who helped out with the hiring process.
Yeah.
So Ryan saw me. He was like, "Oh, why are you so dressed? You're dressed up for this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm dressed up for this. And I also have to go to like a U of A sporting event afterwards too."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Wow."
This was when you were still just a student.
I was a student at the U of A. And so Ryan was like, "That guy is always dressed up."
Yeah.
He said like that was a part of the hiring process was.
So I'll tell you, as a guy that does press conferences, and I've been to press conferences, I'll just tell you from my perspective, when I see somebody in the writing pool or in the sports media pool and they are not dressed up, there's judgment.
Yeah.
And it's like, you clearly do not take your job seriously. And when they're sloppy and a slob, any question they ask, it diminishes from it. Those things, it matters, man.
Yeah.
And it's noticeable and people talk about it.
Yeah.
And, there may be a few people in our local media that it's just like, man, are you really taking this seriously? Because like, you're just a slob.
Mm-hmm. And my dad, like even if he went to like NA meetings, when we moved to Tucson, even though he was years clean, he still went to NA meetings every Saturday or every other Saturday. He tried to go as many as possible. And he would always make sure that his shorts or pants or whatever were nicely ironed, pressed, starched.
Man, your dad was a boss.
Yeah, wore collared shirts, made sure he smelled good, and he had this like special hair product that was called Tres Flores. And Tres Flores,
3 flowers, huh?
3 flowers.
Oh man,
And
2, not 4.
It's a very historically like Chicano hair product. And so like my dad using that, like my dad got a lot of like respect.
Dude, the more you talk about your dad, I'm like, are we talking about your dad or you?
Dude, I wear Tres Flores.
I know.
And so, my dad, like a lot of the things that I get is definitely from my dad.
Thank God your dad didn't have your affinity for Latin women.
You don't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
he grew up in LA.
He married a German woman, but I mean, it would have been not Justin Spears, but Josefina.
Yeah.
Ignacio Spears.
And my dad grew up in inner city LA. He grew up in Carson, California, which is stone's throw away from Compton. Right. And my dad has seen a lot. As a matter of fact, he kind of saw the upbringing of the Crips. So my dad knew either the brother or like a cousin or some family member of Stanley Tookie Williams, who is the founder of the Crips in Los Angeles. And Stanley Tookie Williams eventually went on death row, got executed, right? Got the death penalty. But it's just so fascinating to me that like my dad, like I saw the Stanley Tookie Williams like photo in the Arizona Daily Star. And my dad was like, "You know who that is?" And he told me all of it, gave me the whole backstory. I've seen documentaries on Crips, and my dad's like, "Yeah, look at Tookie." And like hearing my dad say, like, "Yeah, I've seen Stanley Tookie Williams like many, many times. Like I've seen him, I've talked to him before. We weren't friends or anything. Like I wasn't like hanging out with a bunch of Crips, but like I knew some people affiliated with him. So my dad having that affiliation with it was Tookie. And on top of this, Ali, one of his tattoos, he got it from Mr. Cartoon, who was as an up and comer.
Yeah.
Right. He knew Mr. Cartoon before he was Mr. Cartoon. And so I tell people this all the time.
One of his tattoos?
Yeah. My dad had 4 tattoos.
Wow.
Yeah. He had my mom's name over his heart. He had Spears in Old English in big letters on the back of his neck. He also had one on his arm. Was it 4 or 3, something like? But he had a few tattoos.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So he got a tattoo from Mr. Cartoon when Mr. Cartoon was not Mr. Cartoon. And so I tell people this all the time. My dad is like the Forrest Gump of LA street culture. He's been around it. He's seen it, but he's not like the main character. He's just kind of off in the side.
I've got this scene in my head of Jerry Spears walking down the street, pressed shirt, pressed pants, looking good, Tres Flores, and a bunch of Crips hanging out in the corner, and him just going, "Hey, fellas, the blue is popping today. Have a good day," and then just keep walking by. Is that how off am I?
Hey, be careful. A little while ago, I saw a couple of red guys right around the corner there.
Red guys.
You know,
red guys. I don't think Bloods were around when my dad was.
I've been walking around and I see a lot of red and blue. This must be the most patriotic block in the country. Where'd you see the red?
Yeah. Hey, make sure you guys aren't wearing any mixed brands.
Yeah.
No crossbred.
Speaking of dad jokes, right? Jerry's walking down the street again, pressed. I'm guessing like one of those like collar button-down shirts, but they're short sleeve.
Yeah. My dad wore a lot of Dickies.
Khaki pants, right? Got some brown leather shoes on. Socks or no socks?
Oh, socks.
Socks. Okay, good. Yeah, he's not a savage. And then smells, man. He goes, "Hey, fellas, I saw a bunch of guys at the other block wearing red. You guys are all wearing blue. I guess I'm the white. Go America."
USA. USA. Well, and another good segue. My dad and I, we share the same birthday.
No way.
No shit.
Yeah. We were both born on the 4th of July.
Wow.
So growing up,
that's crazy. The universe is undefeated.
He is Bojangle Jingleheimer Schmidt.
Really
His birthday is my birthday too. Yeah.
And so it was, a 4th of July. It's Independence Day in America. My dad and I had the same birthday. So like that day was always like a very big day.
That's awesome, man.
And we always have the cake together. We'd always do stuff together. We go, like if the Dodgers, come play the Diamondbacks, we go up and watch the game, celebrate together. And my dad and my family, they like convinced me that anytime we went to a fireworks show, those are for you. Yeah. Those are for you, Justin. All these people, they're all here for you. And it made me feel good. And then when I realized, man, this is a public event, man, it humbled me as a little kid.
I got to tell you, the Dodgers and Lakers, I mean, I didn't even know how to pronounce I love the Lakers. I didn't know how to pronounce the names for a while because I had a bunch of relatives that lived in LA. We'd go visit. And I never knew they were the Dodgers till I was like 9 because I thought they were the Dodgers.
The Dodgers.
Dodgers.
Lakers. You see Lakers. I'm like, man, I like these Lakers. Lakers.
And my dad got me a Jerry West jersey when I was a kid.
Did he really?
Jerry West passed away this week. And one of my first Lakers jerseys. Well, my first Lakers jersey was a Shaq jersey, a Kobe jersey as well. And then
Magic.
And then later on in middle school, he also got me a Minneapolis Lakers jersey, which was blue and had the cursive across the chest. Number 44, Jerry West.
Oh, that's beautiful. You don't have it anymore?
No, I wish.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to start. We're going to go clockwise. When I say Mr. Trujillo, the funniest thing about him or story, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Don't think, go. Or he's just not a very funny person.
No, my dad's hysterical, honestly. Like I owe a lot of my of what I would consider my wit to my father.
Huh. It's like the Jerry Spears with the whole dressing up thing. It's fascinating.
No, my dad's a very funny guy, and in the same way I think that I am a lot, like the same type of humor and everything like that. I don't know, man. Like growing up, it was weird because my parents split up when I was like 4 or 5, maybe 6. I can't quite remember. My sister was like too young to even remember them being together. And so I remember like early childhood being like kind of wild just because everyone was kind of, like my parents were like kind of at each other's throats and stuff. And my sister and I would go back and forth between households and everything. But my dad has always had this like funky, like, I wouldn't call it like dry or like dark, but like just a very like realistic sense of humor. And he can make fun of a lot of stuff. And no matter how shitty stuff got, no matter what was going on, my dad always finds a way to like see the
He always got a joke off.
kind of, yeah, like
He's perfect for Twitter.
yeah, it was always like it was no matter what happened, it was always, oh well, he would always like stick something in that would lighten the mood or something like that. And I went, I would go hunting with my dad a lot in the White Mountains and just east of Tucson and Reddington Pass, so we'd go deer hunting. My grandparents have a ranch up in New Mexico that we would go to. And yeah, there's so much because my dad, every time I see my dad, it's like just trying to one up each other and make each other laugh harder than the one previous did. You know what I mean? And so aside from like, your classic, I could tell a lot of stories, like Justin has about his dad. But really it was just the fact that my dad has never, even when he had to be like the disciplinarian and the guy who, kind of had to be scary or whatever to get a point across or whatever, I've never felt, I don't know, like it's tough to put it into words, honestly. I've never felt like my dad and I weren't on the same side. I've never felt like he didn't have my best interests at heart. And one of the funniest stories I think that come to mind is, God, there's still a lot, but like, we were deer hunting once and, my dad saw a deer on we were on one side of this ridge and he saw it on the other side and there was this big valley beneath us. He shoots at it rather. Shoots at it like 2 or 3 times and the deer's making its way across the hill. Whether he hit which ones he hit it or not, I don't know. And I was like 11, 12 at the time maybe. And I see the deer, run off into the distance, and I go, "Damn, Dad, you're kind of an awful shot." And so he's like, "All right, stupid." And we get together and we're crossing the valley and we get over to where he shot it and there was blood. So we follow the blood and ended up he got it and everything. And as a reward for not thinking that he was a good shot, I got to help him like strap it up essentially and carry this like 300-pound animal up 3 miles back to camp.
At 11?
Yeah. Which sucked, but
that's hilarious.
Yeah. Well, and the
so glad we were telling funny stories.
It was to segue into the deer
and
hunting.
Then he made me eat the deer's heart. I couldn't leave until I ate the whole thing.
That is the trip I learned how to gut a deer.
Oh.
But I remember my dad, we would go elk hunting in New Mexico as well, and he taught me how to do the elk call, which I don't know if you guys have ever seen those.
No.
But they're like cones. They kind of look like trumpets, but when you do it, you're supposed to bend it up because it like makes it screech like elk do.
Oh, like a Viking horn?
Kind of, but it's like, I mean, you guys know how elk sound, right? When they do their call.
Yeah.
And
no,
it's I don't want to do it for
it's like high pitch, right?
It starts as like this like howl almost, and then it becomes like a screech. I don't really know how to describe it.
That's what all the ladies say about Andrew in the bedroom.
Yep.
So this is like this last low sound and it ends up in a screech.
Yeah. But my dad, he gave me the job of being the elk caller, and we got close to this elk, like within a couple 100 yards of it. And he was like, "All right, I'm going to go up. I'm going to like make my way up. And in a few minutes, I'm going to give you a signal and you make that elk call and it'll look at me and it'll freeze and I'll get it." And I was like, "Okay, I got you, Dad. I got you." And he makes his way up and he gives me the thumb and I take it. And at this point I had done the call like 3 or 4 times, but I wasn't really good at it. So I go in and I was like, I got real nervous. So my breath was shaky. So it came out like, and And my dad, he stood up and he put his bow down and he was just like, and he walked back. the elk sauntered off.
It's like a baby blowing out birthday candles.
Yeah, man. He was like, fuck it. We're not going to get anything today. He walked back and we made our way back to camp. Yeah.
You guys
you
guys' relationship was like one of the Sith. There's always two, a master and an apprentice.
Pretty much.
That's pretty much what it sounded
Pretty
like.
much, yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah. And I'm sure I'll think of many more when I'm not on the spot and we're off the podcast. But yeah, no. My dad's a funny guy. I love golfing with my dad because my dad, I love you, Dad. Sorry about this. My dad is awful at golf, but he loves golf. And so when we go, it's always like, I'll tee off and I'm like, oh, that was all right. And then he'll tee off and I'll be like, wow.
That one went really far.
Yeah. You're playing great, Dad.
Yeah.
Have you been practicing? Man, look, you can tell. You can tell. Come on, give me a funny story, Justin.
Man, my dad loves sunflower seeds. I don't know, it's not really funny, but at the end of my last football season, we turned in all of our gear and everything. And my dad went to like every single practice. Like I said, worked all day long and then would always come to every single one of my practices. And anytime there was like maybe 4 dads out there. Anytime I made a good play, if I heard I knew I did something good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because
usually that's when you did something bad.
Bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, my dad would never like call me out for doing something bad. And the reason why my brother and I started playing football was because my dad loved baseball, to the point where he wanted us to play baseball and excel at it. And my brother would get chewed out all the time. Like, you go to practice, go to games. Like, if he went 1 for 4, he was like, you're criticizing about like how he's batting and stuff like that. I mean, my dad just broke him down. And then some of my brother's friends were like, yeah, we're playing football for the Tucson Eagles. You should come out and play. And my brother was like, my dad don't know shit about football. Yeah, let's go. And my brother got into football and then he was like, yeah, that's it. And when I saw my brother play football, I was like, that's what I want to do. And then so I started playing football, loved it, and that became our sport. And then
who was better?
Me.
Okay.
What position did Josh play?
We were both centers.
Oh.
Josh was a center?
Yeah.
Huh.
We were both centers. Now probably my brother's bigger, so probably him.
Is he bigger?
Yeah, he's got a couple inches on me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's all that breast milk.
Because he was breastfed and I wasn't.
Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom.
We'll save that for the Mother's Day.
Yeah.
I'd be snapping to Joe Burrow right now.
Yeah.
I was breastfed. No, I'm kidding.
No, you
kidding.
wouldn't.
I'm totally kidding. But whenever I made a good play, I would hear and I would look up. My dad would give me the thumbs up, and that's it. But he loved sunflower seeds. And at the end of the season, I was like, you know what? I'm curious to see what that top of the freaking stadium looks like, because he always sat on the 50-yard line right in front of the press box. And I went up there, mountain of sunflower seeds.
They never cleaned it?
They apparently in the last like week or 2 weeks or whatever of the season, they didn't clean that spot. And it was just a huge,
just a bunch of sunflowers.
That's a 2 week. So that's a 2 week.
Yeah, my dad went through bags.
So there was a mound of sunflower seeds shoot up and spit out.
Yeah.
But it was only after 2 weeks. It wasn't the whole season.
No, it wasn't the whole season. Yeah.
Wow. The man loves sunflower seeds.
He loves sunflower seeds. But going back to like a funny story is, my dad, much like you, Ollie, would know something but never get the name right. And so he was like, hey, who's that rapper you're always listening to? That like Lil John Wayne?
Lil John Wayne.
And I'm like, okay, Dad, there's Lil Wayne, which I think you're thinking about because I love Lil Wayne. At that time he asked me. So it's either Lil Wayne, Lil John, or John Wayne. Like, which one is it? And
it's
it was
not John Wayne. He said rapper, right?
Huh? There's no like John Wayne rapper, but it was like Lil John Wayne.
I don't know. John Wayne could have had a flow.
There's an electrician.
Happy Thanksgiving, Bill Grims.
He's good. He's a good dude.
But yeah, he always said, Lil John Wayne, or in high school, there were a bunch of like dances that became popular, like the stanky leg, the jerkin, right? And then there's also the cat daddy.
Nice.
And
Kate Upton.
Huh?
Huh?
You say Kate Upton. And the cat daddy was a popular thing. And my dad was like, hey, Justin, what's that dance that's very popular now? Was it like the salty dog? The salty dog. And like from that point forward, it was always the salty dog dance.
Yeah.
And my brother came down and visited. We had dinner at Mini Dito one night. And it was kind of late, actually. Like usually we have dinner at Mini Dito like middle of the afternoon. And by the time we leave, like the sun's still up. But yeah, this time the sun was down. So it was like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night in South Tucson. And we're at a red light. And I was like, hey, Josh, I taught Dad how to do the cat daddy, but he calls it the salty dog. And my dad was like, let me show you. Puts the car in park, gets out, goes in front of the Tahoe and starts doing the in the intersection in South Tucson. Then he runs back in his car, gets in his car. We go in. I just like, I cry laughing every time I think about that.
My dad was a Chinese fire drill guy too.
Oh yeah, at a red light, you got to run around.
Once or twice we've done it. Yeah,
legend.
Did your dads ever like try to like embarrass you with stuff like that, like at school or whatever? Like just do like little things like in front of your friends that you're supposed to be like, Dad, not in front of my friends.
My dad would know my schedule at the U of A, and just I'd come out of Econ 101 and there he'd be in the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Right. My dad, there's so many funny stories about my dad. Some he probably doesn't want me to tell, but like, you remember like you could like drive from Tucson to San Diego and there's always that checkpoint.
Yeah.
And they're like, they ask you if you have any fruits or vegetables. At least they used
Oh,
to.
yeah. I think it's on the I-10 now. Is it on the I-8 too?
It's on 8. It was on 8. So we go to La Jolla every summer, and it's like dusk, right? So my dad stops, and the officer comes to the window, and he goes, "Sir, do you know you have no lights?" My dad turns to my mom and goes, "Honey, do we have any no lights?" Thought it was like some sort of fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of our funniest stories. And then the one that just kind of came to me is I was 13 years old and I was totally infatuated and in love with this girl, Stacy Hill, if you're out there. I just was, man. And so I'm like, hey, I'm going to go, Mom, Dad, I'm going to go to Stacy's house. And they're like, are her parents there? I'm 13. I'm like, no, we're just going to go swimming. And my mom's like, I don't know. So starts talking to my dad and she's like, I don't think you should go. There's no parents there. My dad turns to my mom and goes, every point in a boy's life, he's got to learn how to swim. You can go.
Wow, that's a real one. Wow. Mo Farhang.
Damn.
Yeah. Think about the guy came here 16 years old as an immigrant and became the owner of one of the top 20 country western nightclubs in the country. Mm-hmm. Met Willie Nelson when he was fat and no beard. Met Charlie Pride came through there. Conway 20, Jerry Lee Lewis.
Conway Twitty came through Maverick.
Yeah. I mean,
wow.
He had a Dolly Parton lookalike contest.
Wow.
That was like one of the most popular things in Tucson.
Wonder why.
My dad promoted the first show at the Tucson Convention Center.
Like the very first
show at the Tucson Convention Center was my dad brought the show. So you asked me where I get it from.
Wow.
The vision, thinking big for your community.
That's right, man.
Wow.
So yeah,
I've learned a lot today.
Yeah, we all have
about you gentlemen.
Yeah, likewise. And so it's yeah. Moms are great, dads are great, and this is the day for dads. And all you dads out there, I hope you have a great Father's Day. And as your wife goes out shopping or goes and gets a manicure and lets you on this Father's Day hang out with the kids, hope you enjoy it.
Yeah. And I will say this, being present in your kids' lives, that's very important. And again, like that's one of the best things that I will always remember about my dad was, even though he worked so damn hard, I never felt like my dad was away. I always felt like he was around. He was there whenever I needed him. And it's funny, whenever like my mom went to Germany one time for 2 weeks and my brother was away. And so it was just me and him. My dad was like he missed my mom so much. And he was like, you want to go to the movies? You want to go do this? Like my dad like didn't know what to do without my mom. And like I look back and I'm like, man, I really wish I appreciated those 2 weeks more because we did so much together.
Yeah.
And my dad was very, very emotional when I moved out because I was the baby. And so it was a little hard. But I always made sure like, Dad, I'm the man I am today. I'm the independent, strong person I am today because of what you and Mom did for me. So shout out to all the dads out there, man.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I agree. Dad, what he said to you.
Ditto.
Yeah.
All right, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
Happy
You know what
Father's
you
Day.
call a nosy pepper? Jalapeno business. Love it.
It's your dad joke.
I love it.
For
That was
Father's
mine.
Day.
I gave him that one. I
Yeah,
blessed him with
you
that one.
did. The other one is, and I just couldn't stop laughing, is, should you have your whole family over? Should you have your family for Thanksgiving dinner? Nah, stick with the turkey.
Yeah.
So funny.
Happy Father's Day. Shout out to all the dads out there. We'll be back next week for Spears and Ali Overtime. Huge thanks to our sponsors, the Volpe team at Nova Home Loans, Right Way Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing, and Tucson Federal Credit Union. Hit us up on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. See you next week.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.